Hello everybody, my name is Tyler, and I guess I make up half of Kovray. This is new for me because I'm going to be doing a solo video. Today what we're going to be talking about is building this 10 by 10. A few people from our past videos had reached out and we had posed the question of whether or not you wanted me to do like a do-it-yourself type thing. And this is the attempt at that. So without further ado, we're gonna walk through how exactly I've made this. Obviously this is just a piece of paper, but it was in a picture frame that was... Oh. So obviously this is just like a piece of paper right now, and it used to be in a picture frame, so we'll walk through that and bear with me while I try to explain a few things that we're going to be doing. Now, I figured I'd make it pretty easy for everybody, and what I've done is I've put a link down below where you can find a 10 by 10 template where it looks a little bit something like this, and you'll just get this piece of paper. The great thing about that is you can just use it as a piece of paper and fill in the games or whatever it is that you're wanting to add to it, and you're set to go. You can also do exactly what I'm going to walk through here and put it into this nice little frame so that you can reuse it over and over again with a whiteboard marker. But the other thing that I wanted to take a swing at is really elevating a little bit more with some paint markers. So we'll see how that goes, and the final result should hopefully turn out pretty nicely. Well, before we get started, let's talk about what a 10 by 10 challenge is. And I actually recently just found out that Rolling with Two, Sarah and Will, Sarah is actually the creator of the 10 by 10 challenge, which is awesome. And we'll put their link down below, so if you want to go check out their channel, please go give them a look. But without further ado, let's talk about this 10 by 10. A 10 by 10 is just a challenge for yourself. Maybe you could do it with your friends, family, whoever it is that you want. But the idea is that you pick 10 games and you'll play them 10 times throughout the year, each of them. Now there are a couple variants on this. You can do things like themes, things like mechanics, whatever your heart kind of desires, you can put them onto the side here. And our goal is to complete the whole thing. If you take a look at our last 10 by 10, maybe we didn't do so hot, but we played a lot of games in 2022, and the idea with this was we just wanted to get some of the games that we really liked to the table. This year we're going to do something a little bit different, and we're going to talk about themes and mechanics on the side, yet to be determined what those are. So I'd love to hear your folks' thoughts on what maybe should be those categories. And maybe throughout this video, I'll come up with a couple of them myself, just to give you a sense of what I'm kind of talking about. With that out of the way, we can kind of get started, and I wanted to obviously break it down for everybody. What do you need? What are you going to need for this? Of course, you're going to need this handy printout, which you can find in the link down below. This is for the basic 10 by 10 that we're going to be talking about today. You can, again, just use it like this and call it good. But there's also a reverse one, which you'll need for the more complicated one that we'll be talking about later. What you'll also need is an 8 by 10 frame, picture frame. I picked these ones up at Michael's. They come in a 4-pack, which is amazing. Boom, boom, boom. Check it out. Yeah, 8 by 10. It works perfectly for the piece of paper that you'll be able to print off. And that is really all you'll need. If you're looking to do the paint one that we're going to be talking about, you'll need a couple paint markers. These are pretty easily accessible at any art store. You can also just use any markers that you want. So basically the reason I'm going to be using paint markers is because I have them around the house. But the idea is that you're actually going to be painting on the back side of the glass pane, so it won't actually smudge when you go to fill it in. But we'll see that at the end product. So if you're going to follow along, I would just suggest maybe printing this out, hitting the pause button, printing this out, and then pressing play once you're ready to go. But this is already pre-cut. What you would do with this is essentially place your window or your glass pane over top of the piece of paper and sketch out sketch it out. Sketch out the piece of paper so it fits nicely in the back. And then that way you'll be able to know exactly how it'll fit behind the frame. And then once you've had that cut, you can press play again. Alright, so as you probably may have guessed, that after printing and cutting off this piece of paper, I got you to put it behind this glass pane, because now if you want to just have a reusable one that you simply just fill in with a whiteboard marker, or a dry erase marker I should say, now all you got to do is put it into the frame so it looks all lovely. This will save you some paper, of course. That is loud. That is loud. This will save you some paper because all you have to do now is you have this beautiful piece of beautiful frame that's got it all. You just have to fill in the names, and whenever you play them, go ahead and fill in one of the meeples. The other way that you can do this is you can actually just put this piece of paper on the front. Pause so I can actually figure this out. Hooray! So you can actually just put this piece of paper on the front, and then you can fill it out as if it was just a piece of paper. This just elevates the look a little instead of just having that piece of paper that you're going for. And yeah, you can kind of just jot it down. Make sure you put this piece in. The reason I've left the glass pane in is so that it stays pretty tight on the frame, and then yeah, you're good to go. Ding dong. Okay, so if you stuck around to do this reverse paint marker one, then obviously what you're going to need to do is print off the second PDF that is down below, and it is basically just a mirrored version of this, and you'll see why once we get going. If you haven't done that yet, feel free to hit pause and then press play once you figured all of that out. You don't need to cut this piece of paper, so don't worry about doing what we did before by placing it down and trimming it out. Quick little tips before you get started with this one. When you are placing the reverse sheet down, this one right here, when you're placing the reverse sheet down, you want to put the glass pane on. Make sure you're aware of where it is and it is lined up. A trick to that is you can actually just tape the piece of paper to the glass pane. That'll make it a lot easier. It won't shift around as much. Go ahead and put that pane of glass on top of your piece of paper that you've just printed off, and you'll want to grab any of the markers that you want to use. I'm just going to use a black marker for all of the numbers 1 to 10 and the meeples, and then I'll probably toss in some gold for the 10 by 10 challenge part. And essentially all you're going to want to do, take open that pen, that good old marker of yours, and start tracing away. Okay, so I think we're all done here. Now that we've traced it all, I'm just going to hold it up so everybody can see. Make sure you've given some time for it to dry off, of course. But here we have it, all traced onto this nice little glass window. You can see I went a little adventurous and started using more colors than I initially said I was going to use. I just had them sit around, so I thought, why not? So let's go ahead, give it some time to dry before we stick it into our frame. So while it's drying, I've actually just shifted it onto a blank piece of paper here, an extra blank piece of paper, and I'm gonna trace out the edges of this piece of paper with the glass, just so that I can have a background for this fella. Once I've got that all outlined. I'm just gonna move this over, make sure it can still dry. Again, I use paint markers, so like the paint just takes a little bit to dry. I want to make sure that it doesn't smudge when we do put it on. And all I'm gonna do is cut with the lines that I've traced on so that it can fit into my frame. I will say that I'm sure it's possible to expand the PDF that I've done so that it does fit into a standard piece of paper, but I found that the frames that I could find that were closest to the size of paper were an 8x10, at least for me. So again, whatever kind of works for you. This is more of a guiding thing than anything. And hopefully you can have a 10x10 that you can use more than once for all the fun. All right, I've cut that out. I'm just gonna put it onto the frame back. And you're free to tape it on however you want. I'm just gonna leave it. Yeah, give some time there for it to dry. And we'll come back with the final product. Okay, grand reveal, everybody. 10x10 challenge. I'm actually very happy with how it turned out. It sounds as if I just like went out on a whim to put this together, but I had an idea in mind and I was definitely ready for it to work out, and I'm pleasantly surprised with the final result. Let's talk about what you can possibly do with it. What I'm gonna put on the list right here. I've got a whiteboard marker here. I keep calling them whiteboard markers, dry erase markers. I guess they're kind of the same thing. And all I'm gonna do is fill in a couple of these slots and then let everybody else maybe fill them in for us. So what do we got here? We're gonna put 2-player games on here because that one seems like a relatively easy one for us to get out of the way. And we love playing 2-player games. Obviously they have to be strictly 2-player games. Maybe like worker placement games. Worker. And then, yeah, maybe let's go with a theme or something. We'll put nature themed games on here. As you can see, I've started filling this out. Voila, boom, check it out. So I've started filling it out. What are the other categories that you want us to include on this? Let us know down in the comments below, and we'll pick a few that make sure that we have 10 on here. And then, of course, the other thing is what kind of games, what mechanics, what are the fill-in-the-blanks that you're going to be including on your 10x10? Did you give making this one a shot? Maybe if you did, you could share your pictures of it in our Discord channel. That would be fun. We'll leave the link down below there. And it'll be exciting to see what comes up of this. If you liked this video, please hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button if you're new here, and let me know what you thought. This is my first time doing anything like this. If it worked out, great. If it didn't, happy to change some things, happy to try it again. Maybe not with a 10x10, but something else, because it could be fun. And yeah, until next time though, I will probably see you in the next video with Ilya. Bye! So if you don't actually have this piece of glass accessible to you, then what might be fun is getting one of your friends to grab the piece of paper, run outside, and stick it against one of your windows. Then you can trace it and have this giant reusable 10x10 for everybody to see.